Nuclear waste is a major issue for the world, but is it a good idea to launch this highly radioactive waste into space? The nuclear industry has been working to find a solution to this problem, and one of the potential solutions that has been discussed is shooting the high-level radioactive waste into space. However, there are several reasons why this idea is not feasible. First of all, it's essential to understand what nuclear waste is. Nuclear waste is not a standardized term, and it can mean different things in different countries. Nonetheless, 3 categories of nuclear waste can be identified. The vast majority, around 90%, is low-level radioactive waste, such as tools, gloves, or garbage used in nuclear power plants, which may be slightly and briefly radioactively contaminated. This type of waste can typically be disposed of in a regular manner. About 7% is radioactive waste, which consists mainly of materials that have been close enough to a reactor core for long enough to become dangerously radioactive. This type of waste can be disposed of by being secured, buried, or melted down and mixed into glass or concrete and then stored underground. However, the remaining 3% is high-level radioactive waste, which is the most dangerous and problematic type of nuclear waste. High-level radioactive waste is concentrated spent fuel from the reactor core. It used to be uranium, but now it's made up of various dangerous, often highly radioactive elements. It's also extremely hot, making it challenging to handle. This is the waste that the idea of shooting into space is meant to address. There's a belief that space could be the ideal location for nuclear waste disposal because it's large and uninhabited. However, this idea is not as simple as it may seem. One of the primary reasons is the high cost of space travel. While space travel is becoming more affordable, it's still very expensive. To launch cargo into low Earth orbit alone costs around $4,000 per kilo, while mining, fissioning, and manufacturing 1 kilo of nuclear fuel cost about $1,600. Thus, sending the waste into space would make the fuel for the reactors and the price of nuclear energy much more expensive. Moreover, launching the high-level radioactive waste from a single reactor would cost at least $100 million per year. To dispose of the waste produced by all 440 active nuclear reactors globally would cost around $44 billion annually, not including additional packaging, transportation, and safety costs. Even if the cost wasn't an issue, we don't have the rocket technology to send all the nuclear waste into space. Presently, the world lacks the necessary number of rockets to handle this task. Therefore, while shooting nuclear waste into space may seem like a good solution, it's not feasible due to the high cost of space travel and the absence of the necessary rocket technology. The nuclear industry will need to continue exploring alternative solutions to address the issue of nuclear waste. Cosmos is the final challenge in a list of problems. The primary issue lies with low Earth orbit, where most of our rockets and satellites are sent. Dumping nuclear waste in this area would pose a significant threat to space travel and management, and also increase the likelihood of collisions with existing satellites. The risk is compounded by the fact that the atmosphere's drag is minimal at this altitude, meaning that any nuclear waste released could potentially rain back down to Earth within a few years. Experts agree that this is a significant concern. If we decide to transport the nuclear waste to the moon instead, we would need an enormous amount of resources, including many more rockets or larger ones. A single Saturn V rocket, which was used for the Apollo program and cost approximately $1.5 billion per launch, could carry about 43.5 tons of waste from Earth to the moon. To transport the required amount of waste, we would have to launch approximately 260 Saturn V rockets each year and potentially use the moon as a test target for rockets filled with nuclear waste. However, this is not the best solution, and launching the waste in an arbitrary direction is also not advisable. One alternative is to send the waste into the sun, but this is no easy feat. The sun's strong gravitational pull means that a rocket would need to cancel its orbital path around the sun to crash into it. Launching a rocket out of the solar system is even easier than launching it into the sun. Both options would require much larger rockets than anything we've ever built. The third issue with disposing of nuclear waste is the potential danger posed by missiles. Although rocket technology has significantly improved since the Apollo era, there were 11 unsuccessful rocket launches from 146 in 2021. This means that some missiles carrying radioactive waste could explode on the launch pad or disintegrate at high altitude, causing significant harm. Every year, the combustion of millions of tons of coal produces ash as a waste product. While approximately 36,000 tons of radioactive material contain less radioactivity than high-level nuclear waste, there is a significantly greater quantity of it. Regrettably, we handle this waste material in a careless manner. Although some ash is collected with filters, most of it is dumped back into porous mines, piled into heaps to prevent wind dispersion, or poured into pools that inevitably leach into rivers and lakes. People living within 1.6 kilometers of such landfills face a cancer risk that exceeds an acceptable threshold by over 2,000 times, in addition to the risk posed by other toxic chemicals, such as heavy metals, and the enormous CO2 emissions associated with coal-fired power plants. Nuclear power comes with significant concerns, but this problem is not unique to nuclear energy. Currently, we lack a solution for safely storing nuclear waste. This problem is not insurmountable, and there are viable approaches to address it. We can store it underground or recycle it into new fuel rods. Regardless of how we choose to manage this issue, launching nuclear waste into space is one of the dumbest ideas ever. Thanks for watching the video. If you like these type of videos, be sure to subscribe to my channel and don't forget to share your opinion below in the comments.